value. Get them. Get whom? Get whom? Am I asking a bad developer to get them or get the clients or get me? Who? List int new is. So this is an example of bad code. This is an example of bad code. Okay, I will just go. Good code. Here we can understand. Okay, it's a status value. Okay, here you have to read the complete program to understand what status value I am fetching. But you can, just by reading the code, you can at least figure out what the function is about, how the function will function, how it will perform. Okay, status value will get the status of something. If it's flagged, and flagged cells get flagged cells. What are like flags are the, in speaking in the microprocessor terms, flags are nothing but zeros and ones. Status value flagged. Okay. And the naming of the function, only the naming of the function should not be good. The function naming of the variables should also be good. We just cannot say D and write a comment called this function is for date. Okay, what date? Which date? So the function should be, the variable name should be completely understandable. Get date of employee. I'm just giving an example. Get date of an employee or the hour of working. We can just have like WH for working hours, or we can write working hour completely. WH can also mean White House. Anyone can say like WH is White House. It might stand for White House. So like the variable name should be understandable. It should mean something. It should explain what the function, what the variable is doing, and how it's doing is done in the function. Okay. Fx in mathematics is function, and these are not setting here. Okay, these are the function, how the code works in coordination with one another, how the function works, dependence. As you can see, one function moves another and another. Our function should be small, maybe like only with the width of a screen. And if it is possible to make a function more smaller, then you should go and do it, make it more smaller. A function should not have a repeated code. Like a function is doing, a code is being fetched from here, and the same code is in another function. It will have the more compile time will be taking lengthier, the run time will be taking lengthier. Hence, our program, our software will be much more slower in execution. So it should not be like that. If you have a duplicate codes, just write a function for that duplicate code and call it in your function. This way, you are not only reducing the amount of typing you have to, keystrokes you have to work, you are actually making the compiler work fast. A function should not be longer than a screen. It should actually fit in a screen or maybe less. If you are fitting 2 or 3 functions in a screen, then believe me, you are a brilliant coder. In 80s, the monitor used to have 24 lines and 80 columns. So that was the standard for the functions at that time. But today we can decrease the font size. We have huge monitors. We can write thousands of lines in single monitor and hundreds of columns in single monitor itself. So, but when you see things on the small screen, you have to keep on reading, keep on shaking your hand, keep on moving your eyes movement, and that actually tires the programmer. It actually tires the programmer to read that code, lengthy code, to understand that, like scrolling. 90% of the programmer, if you are adding a functionality, 90% of the time you are reading the previous code. So if you are able to read it faster, it means that you will be able to execute your program, meet your deadlines much more faster, maybe before the deadline itself. Okay, ideally 2, 3 or 4 lines of the rules should be there, but that's like near to impossible. We cannot have 2, 3, 4 lines, but it's good if you can make a function with just 2, 3, 4 lines. And one more thing, with the function, we pass arguments. If there is no argument, it's good. If there is one argument, okay, it's Okay, if it's necessarily, if it's 2 arguments, okay, you can work with it. But more than 3 or 4 more, no, you should not pass the arguments more than 4. You should make a separate function, separate things, and get it done. Passing the main arguments again and again will make compiler fetch again and compiler fetch the arguments and the program again and again. Hence slowing down the function, and not only slowing down the function, after every time you are seeing an argument, okay, what does this argument parameter do? What does this parameter do? You have to go and read that whole code every time you are passing the parameter. That should not happen. Function should do only one thing. They should do it well, and they should do it only. Okay, Indiana Jones is saying that. So what function should we usually make functions who perform 2, 3, 4 tasks in a single function? If it's not a good function. A function, every function should do only one task. If a function is to okay, let's take the example of Ola cabs. If I am writing a function to fetch the surrounding cabs near the customer, so the function should just display the surrounding cabs. It should not display the estimated time, estimated length from your, how far it is. They should be handled by the separate functions. They should be handled and understood by the separate function. If you are doing the same function, if one function is doing, so as I said earlier, the function should be small. The function won't be small that time, and it will be much more hectic for the developer to understand too. Okay, comments. They are the biggest liar in the program. The biggest liar. Well, eventually they lie. At first they don't lie, but as we all know, as all the developers know, the code tends to moves around. Like we have one function here, and after sometimes we move it to another file or another location. But what we do is we don't move the comments. We don't move the comments. What happens is, like, when the next developer or your teammates starts reading, he reads the comment and says, okay, you have said that the function is here, but where is the function? You have moved the comment. The comment can be helpful or damaging. And initially they are helpful, but if you are editing it, if you are migrating your code more and more, it will become more and more damaging. Inaccurate comments are worse than no comment at all. Inaccurate comments, like for example, Prakash came to the office. Okay, it's a good comment. But if I am asking, and Prakash came to the office, it's an accurate comment. But if I say, did Prakash came to the office? It's an inaccurate question. My function is supposed to solve the problem. If I am asking the question, did he came? Then why am I writing the function, and what's the use of the comment? Used to compensate failure, expressing with the quadrifact fact. Okay. What actually the bad developer will do is, okay, I'm unable to understand. I know the next developer will not be able to understand this code. So instead to explain it, I will write the comment. Instead of wasting your time or investing your time in writing a very good comment, you can refactorize your code. You can make it much more cleaner. You can make it much more understandable. The code should explain itself. You should sometimes you have to use the comments. Sometimes you have to use the comment because of some company rules or everything. But only then you have to use the comment. And they should be minimal, and they should be optimal. The comments line, if you must have them, minimize them. If you have to write a comment. Just write the comment in be specific. Don't write a complete story about the program. It will not only increase the size of the program, bytes and KBs, but it will be hectic for the next developer to understand. Express yourself code. As I said earlier, the function, the program itself should express itself. There should be if I am writing a comment, then it's a bad program, it's a bad function by default. Here is an example for bad comment. Check to see if the employee is eligible for full benefits. Employee flag, it's a bad code. It's a completely bad code. So what the developer here is trying to do is, he is writing the comment to explain that okay, this function is doing this line of code is doing this thing, and like instead of writing this, he could have just write it employee dot flag, instead of flag using is employee for full benefit. If you had just given the name object name very well understandable as in the as in the good code, then he would have not needed to write this comment itself. As you can see in the code, if employee is eligible for full benefits, the comment is itself the name here. Hence, no need for to write the comment itself. And one more thing, scary noises. Scary noises. Some developer has the habit of writing comment for everything. Like, okay, I am declaring a variable called int a. This is a variable with the value of integer. You have to pass the integer value to this. So these are the noisy comments. It takes the time to read the code. It takes the time. It is a much more time-consuming effort. As you can see, private string name, the name. What does this do? The name. It's not, the comment is not understandable, and it's taking up the space, and it's taking the reading time. The version, private string version. These are the example of bad comments, and we should not use this type of comments, as it will affect not only the next programmer, as it will affect on the next, if you are adding new functionalities, it will also affect that, because we have to read. The programmer tends to like stops understanding the code, and he starts reading the comments itself too, because he will start thinking that okay, if I read the comment, I will have the much more understanding of the how it's working, but it's not. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Yes, questions.